There's a wide receiver in the SEC who, as a true freshman, was the best freshman receiver on his own team. However, the ADP is not currently reflecting that. This is, of course, Malik Nabers of the LSU Tigers, who came in as the fourth highest receiver in his own freshman class, but turned out to be the most productive of the group. 6 foot, 190-pound Nabers played his high school football at Comio High School in Louisiana. He had a 4.4 40 time as well as a 38-inch vert recorded in high school, which is extremely explosive. After scoring 21 all-purpose TDs as a junior, he unfortunately was not able to get a waiver for his senior year after a transfer and was unable to play as a senior. Nevertheless, when he stepped on the field at LSU, he was immediately the most productive of the highly touted freshman class who went to Baton Rouge. He had a 28, 4.17, 4 line, adding in 4 rushes for 23 yards, and was the most productive of the group. Outside of Boutte, Nabers is the most interesting wide receiver on this team, but his ADP does not reflect this. He's the 99th wide receiver off the board per our C2C ADP, and a little bit better, but not good enough, the 49th receiver taken in Devi. As you can see here from the metrics, he also shows out receiving yards per team pass attempts is one of the more projectable metrics that we have for future success. And Nabers was the best of this group, barely edging out Brian Thomas, but way ahead of Deion Smith and Chris Hilton Jr. Deion Smith is no longer on the team, and Nabers now walks into year 2 as probably the best of this group. He didn't quite make that dotted line, which is the average of future NFL wide receiver 2s for fantasy, but it's still very good as a freshman. And also, the most impressive thing was, again, he didn't play his senior year of high school at all. The one negative argument I could see is that, well, I don't want to invest in any Brian Kelly wide receivers. And while I understand why this may be the line of thinking, the wide receiver 1 in a Brian Kelly offense, even dating back to Notre Dame, has actually been pretty productive for fantasy purposes. You go back and look at Michael Floyd, you look at Chase Claypool, Fuller, St. Brown. All these guys had seasons of about 1,000 receiving yards and flirting with 10 touchdowns, and in some cases, well over 10 touchdowns. So while the offense usually doesn't support enough production for multiple wide receivers, the number one guy definitely can have a blow-up season, helping you on the college side of a C2. Nabers appears to have a trajectory to position himself as the wide receiver 1 after Boutte leaves. And the hope for his NFL prospects is that he would blow up as a junior, declare early, get your high draft capital, all that good stuff. There's absolutely a very real path here for Nabers to do that. And you're not really investing that much to see if it hands out. I mean, like I said, currently 99th receiver off the board in C2C and closer to the 50th receiver off the board in Devi. Personally, he's the most exciting wide receiver on the LSU team. I think that 1 year in 2023, he could really blow up. Then you're looking at the help on the college side and going off to the NFL as well. And his ADP is just so, there's not a lot of opportunities to get something like this that far late in the draft. So I love Malik Nabers, one of my favorite sleepers this year. Just nobody seems to be talking about him really at all, despite the fact that he led his own group of freshmen on LSU last year. If you haven't already, check out campus2canton.com. Where we've got all this good stuff. We've got articles throwing out sleepers and other things. We have ADP, we have rankings, all the stuff to help you on the college side of your fantasy leagues. Also have NFL content as well. And you get your foot in the door for $2.99 a month. No big deal right there, and see all the things we have to offer. Until next time.